Korea. Chinese influences in Korea can be traced back as far as the 4th century BCE, when the knowledge of metallurgy and agriculture spread from China to the Korean peninsula. In the latter part of the Han Dynasty, Chinese settlers moved into Korea. Through these contacts, Chinese culture, especially Buddhism, found a path into Korea. Chinese writing, which was later modified and made more suitable to the Korean language, was introduced. Confucian classics were read by Korean scholars. Tang rulers defeated Korean peoples who resisted Chinese rule. The Silla Kingdom of Korea, however, routed Tang forces. In 668, the Chinese withdrew from Korea in exchange for an arrangement that made the Silla vassals of the Tang and required them to pay tribute. After the Tang withdrew, the Silla united Korea. The Silla studied Chinese customs and willingly performed the kowtow, a ritual bow, to the Chinese emperor. They introduced the Chinese civil service exam to Korea. The Silla made tribute payments that allowed them to participate in the Chinese trade network and in educational systems with Vietnamese, Japanese, and other Eastern peoples. Korean cultural and commercial opportunities, therefore, expanded. Buddhism became popular, especially with the Korean elite classes. Techniques of porcelain manufacture made their way from China to Korea. The Koreans modified Chinese porcelain to produce celadon bowls with a characteristic pale green color. The Mongol invasion of Korea in the 13th century interfered with cultural contacts between Korea and China. When the Mongols were cast from Korea in 1392, Korea once again established contacts with the Chinese. Vietnam. Southeast Asians displayed a somewhat different response to the introduction of Chinese culture than the people of East Asia had. While the Viets admired the technological advances and political ideals of the Chinese, at the same time they highly valued their own independence. Before the time of the Qin dynasty, the Viets carried on an active trade with the people of southern China. The Viets gradually brought the lands of the Red River Valley under their control and began intermarrying with the peoples of present-day Cambodia and others in Southeast Asia. In contrast to the Chinese, the Viets had a different spoken language, lived in villages rather than establishing large urban areas, and based their society on the nuclear family. Vietnamese women enjoyed more privileges than women in China. Additionally, Buddhism gained greater popularity in Vietnam than in China. When Han rulers attempted to annex South China into their empire, they encountered opposition from the Viets. Initially requiring the payment of tribute from the Viets, the Han conquered them in 111 BCE. Under Han rule, the Viets adopted Chinese agricultural and irrigation techniques. The Confucian concept of veneration or respect of ancestors, and the extended family structure. In spite of their admiration of some aspects of Chinese culture, however, the Viets periodically staged rebellions against Chinese rule. After the fall of the Tang in 907, they staged a major protest, which in 939 resulted in Vietnamese independence. After their independence was secured, the Viets continued the Confucian civil service examinations, which had earlier been disbanded. Vietnamese conquests of neighboring peoples succeeded largely because of the military organization and technology they had adopted from the Chinese. Rapid review. The Tang and Song dynasties proved to be an era of active, long-distance trade contacts and unprecedented technological innovation in China. During this era, China extended its borders to intensify the diffusion of its culture to regions such as Japan, Korea, and Vietnam. At the same time that China was broadening its influence, it was repeatedly plagued by nomadic invaders from the north, such as the Khitan and the Jurchens. The necessity of addressing the problem of nomadic invasion became China's next great challenge.